Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It's the 3rd of August, 2023. It's Thursday. My name is CareyHolzman, and today, another mini PC review. You know, we have never done the same mini PC review twice. There's always brand new models and new manufacturers entering the market. It is a very strange phenomenon. And I very much want to embrace it while it lasts. I don't know if it's something that's going to continue for a longer period of time, but in my experience, things like this, when something new is introduced to the market, there's a lot of manufacturers that want to jump in on it. And then, after about a year or two, many of the manufacturers just aren't able to make it. And so through whatever gets who the survivors are, we're left with a stable of known manufacturers. So right now, it's a great way to introduce ourselves to some of these manufacturers. We can evaluate if what they're offering is a good value. And bear in mind, a lot of the machines that we're reviewing are coming to us from China. So the support on these is going to be through email, or it's going to be through WhatsApp or some application like that. Sometimes when you're ordering these machines from Asia, you save a lot of money, but if you ever have to send them in for repair, and I'm not speaking specifically of today's manufacturer, although that may be the case, I don't know. In many cases on these very inexpensive, budget-friendly PCs from China, they have to be sent back to China if they require repair. The good news is it's pretty rare that they ever require repair. There's very little in here that you can repair yourself on these. It's very similar to a laptop, trying to fix a laptop. We can change RAM and we can change storage. We can change a Wi-Fi card, but anything wrong with the circuit board itself is proprietary. And if that's important to you, if you're one of these people who wants to be able to have local support, then as you're watching reviews here on YouTube, and not just of mini PCs, but of all gadgets, especially on social media where there's a lot of advertising from these companies on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Instagram, they will make really good offers, all right? And as far as I can tell, every one of them has sent product. I haven't seen any like scammers in the sense that they take your money and don't send anything. But if you have a problem with the product, sending it back to China from America is probably going to be around $50 at the cheapest. That's if you're going United States Postal Service, all right? Now, I recommend anytime you can, buy from Amazon, because these manufacturers provide Amazon warehouse with the equipment, just like any other manufacturer. And if there's a problem with it, you send it back to Amazon within those first 30 days. The returns are free. At least if you're an Amazon Prime customer. The shipping's way faster than if you order from Asia. You could wait weeks to get your product. You order from Amazon, you could get it the next day. And then if the machine's going to run no problems, for that 30-day return window, it's probably going to run no problems for a long time, unless you get like a power spike at your house or something like that. And that wouldn't be a warranty covered issue anyway, right? It's your responsibility to put on surge protectors or unplug it from the wall during storms and things of that nature. So regardless if you bought it from a local manufacturer or an Asian manufacturer, you wouldn't get warranted support on a non-warranted issue. The other thing is consider the price. How much of a risk is it you're willing to take? If it's a really good value and you're able to get a certain number of use out of it, certain amount of time out of it, then even Steven, right? And in the best case scenario, it continues to work years and years and years and years and years. And of course, the longer it's working and you're able to utilize it, the cheaper it gets every day. So at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide where that fits in your lifestyle, in your budget, in your expectations. And of course, if you're an extremely demanding person, I strongly recommend that you buy from specialized boutique companies that cater to your needs. And those aren't cheap, but you know what? If that's what you're demanding, it's nothing money can't fix. But if you want great value and you want to be able to get more computing power for your dollar today than ever before in the history of computers, these mini PCs are outstanding. So today, the folks over at MOREFINE sent me a new model called the M8S, and you can see just how tiny this is. And a lot of people, first of all, they don't understand just how small these units are by watching this on video, number one. And number two, they don't understand just how powerful they are. They almost universally, the general public, when they see these, they don't expect much from them. And they are more often than not blown away by just how fast they are. If you have any curiosity about any of the mini PCs, the best thing you can do to figure out exactly how big they are, how much they weigh, and how fast they are is to buy one. Buy it from Amazon. Even if you're only buying it to give it a test drive, Amazon has those free returns up to 30 days. You can buy this off Amazon. You can use it for up to 30 days, and then you can send it back. But here's the thing. The reason I'm telling you this is because I know there are no words I will speak, and there's nothing on video that I can show you that can convey what you will learn within minutes of having this in your possession. And the only way we can compensate for that is to try and convince you to take the plunge, make the purchase, and see for yourself. And then once you have that baseline of experience, you now have something to compare it to on every other future video of mini PC. Whether they're a little bigger or a little smaller, you now have a point of reference that was, until you had it in your hands and until you actually had some hands-on experience with it, there's nothing any content creator can do to assist you with that level of understanding. So at least when you're buying from Amazon, you have peace of mind. And I'm fairly convinced that if 10 of you buy a mini PC from Amazon, 9 of you are going to not want to send it back. Even if your thought was, I'm going to try this and then I'll send it back, just because I can't really afford it, but I'm kind of curious. I want to see for myself. It's just like when the car dealer says, yeah, take the car home for the night, They're counting on you not wanting to give it back. Well, it's very much the same thing. Prove me wrong. Search around, find one you think is going to meet your needs, meet your budget, make sure it's an Amazon Prime offer. And then when you receive it and you get some experience with it, come back into the chat and let us know. Share your experience with us. So others like you that still are too afraid to take the plunge, they're too nervous, they're too scared, they're too insecure, you can maybe help motivate them and give them a little more self-confidence. It's all going to be okay. Live life while you can live it, because when life's over, it's too late to try it then. So while you still have your mind and your ability to take advantage of this hardware that's new and modern, it's not an antique, it's not vintage, seize the day. Well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, I want to say thank you to the contributions that came in via Super Chat before we got started here today. Our good friend Sarge Tech with a $5 Super Chat earlier says, Carey gives maximum reviews on mini PCs. That way you can make a smart choice based on what you need in a computer, plus a video manual user guide. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Thank you, Sarge Tech. Paul O'Brien with €5 says, this is going to be my only contribution today. My Revolut has been scammed €200, so I won't be able to make any more contributions like I normally do. Oh, that just sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Paul. The world is filled with nasty people. And the only peace of mind I can give you is that they all die like the rest of us. And if that's the kind of karma that they want to make for themselves, well, I'm sorry it happened to you, but I feel worse for the people who are doing it, because they must be such a sad and pathetic excuse for a life form. I just count my blessings every day that I wasn't raised that way, that my parents didn't raise me to do that to people. These people that do this have serious failures on behalf of their parents. Maybe someday we'll start seeing the parents being held accountable for the actions of their children. However, until that day, just be glad you're not one of those people. And hopefully the security and guarantees in your account will compensate you back for what you've lost. And be careful out there. It's just a lot of jerks temporarily living on the planet. They'll die, but for right now, the jerks that are living, just try to avoid them and try not to attract them. Thank you for your contribution, Paul. Tom Jackson with $7.77. Right on. Thank you, Tom. All right, that should catch us up. Right, Jimmy says, happy Thursday. Right on. Back at you, my friend. There's Shamim Kashvira's joining us. John Science Rock says, hello from New Jersey. Pete Tracker 34 says, I'm a little late picking morning glories for the wife. Sarge Tech said, everyone I have shown my mini PC to wants one for themselves. Yeah, again, aside from being able to go to a retail store and actually see one, it blows people's minds to actually see it in person and to actually, interact with it. Universally, I have never met a single person that wasn't absolutely impressed with it, with any mini PC. Except there are people who say, well, this is impressive and well, it's a great price. It's still not something I can use, or it doesn't meet my needs. But these aren't people that represent the vast majority. The vast majority of people would benefit from these. Let's take a look at the Amazon specs page on this so we can take a look at exactly what we're reviewing today. Morphine is still a relatively new manufacturer to me, so I don't know much about them in regards to what support is like, or things like reliability I'm not too worried about because it's all mostly just built all the same anyway. So it's really just a question of what's the support like if you should need it, and you likely shouldn't. And for the most part, companies don't really do much in the way of support anymore. Customers have gotten particularly entitled and narcissistic, and it's costing companies a lot of money. So companies are starting to, if you thought they were discouraging support now, it's very, very difficult to get legitimized support from a legitimate product for a legitimate reason. They have made it very, very difficult because of how much money it's costing them. Too many consumers, 9 out of 10 consumer calls calling for support are asking for tutoring. They don't know how to do something. They're not calling about a problem with the computer. They're calling about trying to figure out how to do something. That is not what support is for. And that's why you're seeing the demise of support and why it's getting so difficult. Companies are tightening down the screws because they have to stay in business. I was at a restaurant the other day and I saw somebody said they wanted, they ordered a hamburger and they wanted an extra patty. They're like, all right, that's $1 or whatever it was. They're like, what do you mean $1? It's extra cost extra. So there have been people going into like McDonald's or restaurants and they say, hey, can I get extra this or can I get extra that? And now the restaurants that used to say, oh yeah, here you go. They universally here in Phoenix, I've been in restaurant after restaurant that have big signs. It says extra cost extra. Some people think that they can get away with saying, hey, let me order this and can you, I was at the pizza place the other day. And when you order online, there's a place for notes, right? So you say, I want a medium pizza, and you check the little boxes, regular cheese, pepperoni, whatever, right? I'm going to pick it up. And I said to the guy, there used to be a little checkbox for well done, but it's not there anymore. He goes, oh, well, there's a little section for notes, and in the notes you can write well done. Okay. I said, I can just imagine what people write in the notes. He says, we have people write extra cheese in the notes. Like, so they don't click the extra cheese box, which bills them for the extra cheese. They just go down to the notes section and write in, please put on extra cheese. He says, yeah. I said, does that ever work? He goes, no. We tell them if they want extra cheese, they have to pay for extra cheese. I say, well, This is the world we've become living in. And so now if you're on the other side of this, if you're the retailer, if you're the seller, and you've got your customers trying to put you out of business, you have to batten down the hatches and tighten up the security because your own customers are trying to rip you off. And that's the world we live in right now. So if you get upset at the way some support is difficult or lacking, it's because society has forced it to be that way in order for these companies to stay profitable. Otherwise, they'd have to charge a lot more for the product in order to compensate for, they were given that kind of support people wanted. And then people wouldn't buy the product because they say it's too expensive. So what do? That's what's going on right now in our culture here in Phoenix in the summer of 2023. People just try to take advantage. So it's not a company being greedy. If you feel like the support isn't very good, usually it's not the company being greedy. It's the companies they're getting flooded with non-support related issues, and it's costing them a lot of money. So they're going to do everything they can to stay in business and to maintain profit and keep the products priced very aggressively against their competitors. So, put yourself in their shoes for a minute. And that's why, again, I encourage you, if you can, buy from Amazon. Because even with Amazon, I don't talk to anybody in customer support. If I have a problem, it's all online. I check the boxes to return it. I get my return code. I take it back over to the UPS store. I never have to talk to a person. And when you want to know how to do something, you should be using Google and making an attempt to figure it out on your own. Of course, we have a community here that's always glad to help you as well. But that's not the purpose of support, to tutor you how to use the product. You don't go buy a grand piano and then complain that you call them on the phone and say, well, tell me how to play Beethoven's Fifth on that. That's not how it works. There's tutoring that you pay for that. And I mention it because a lot of you who aren't in the industry, especially a lot of the enthusiast and hobbyist channels, they don't see this side of the business and they don't see the trend that's starting to occur from the consumers. And the companies have to respond, or the companies go bye-bye because they run out of money. And it's because of the customers that drive them out of business. So customers have to put their foot down and say, or businesses have to put their foot down and say, absolutely not. These are the rules. If you don't like it, buy somewhere else, because they'd rather lose your business than lose everybody's business. So anyway, Douglas Burchell says he's loving his AWOW mini PC. He said his wife has one on the way and it should be here tomorrow. See, there we go. Somebody who went from having 0, got 1, and now they need another one. And if they never would have gotten that one, they'd probably still be kind of curious. Maybe that's something I would like, maybe it isn't. And until they pull the trigger and actually buy one, they really aren't going to answer their question through any content online. You have to have it in your hands and you have to experience it. So, if you're not going to buy one, you have no intention of buying one, but you're really, really curious about it, get used to staying curious, because the only way you're going to solve that curiosity is hands-on experience. Nick Poverman says, my 90-year-old mother loves the B-Link mini PC I got her. Hey, that's really cool. Steve Chappelle says, good afternoon from Hobbsville, North Carolina. Welcome in, Steve. There's our good friend, Marvin Jameson. Hi, Marvin. Paul O'Brien said this is the second time in the space of a month that his credit cards have been scammed. First his bank account, now it's his Revolut account. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're not being careful enough, Paul, or if the banking industry that you're doing business with, it was the theft on their part because they dropped the ball on security, or was the theft on your part because you dropped the ball on security? But at least you keep an eye on it. Whenever my PayPal gets charged, my phone will beep at me and tell me anything over $1, it lets me know. And sometimes places go, would you like your receipt? I'm like, no, don't need it. I already got it on the phone. Richard Collins says, hello. Marvin Jameson with a very generous $100 super chat contribution. Thank you so much, Marvin. He's such a good guy. I want to remind you that while these large super chat contributions are always appreciated, YouTube is going to take $30 of that. YouTube takes 30% of any of your super chat, and then they make me wait 60 days before I get any of the money. And while I deeply appreciate any contribution, if you give via PayPal or you give via an Amazon gift card, I get the money immediately. PayPal takes 3% versus YouTube's 30%. PayPal gives me the money immediately. Amazon takes 0% and gives me the money immediately. And YouTube, I got to wait 60 days. But I don't want to sound ungrateful. I just want you to know that if you want more of your contribution to come to me and less to go to PayPal, when they're small super chats, you know, $20 or less, it's not a big deal. But when they're sizable, you're giving 30% of that to YouTube, just so you know. And I'm okay with it if you are. But if you're not okay with that, I just want you to be aware that I will not be receiving as much as you gave. But I, again, deeply, deeply appreciate your generosity. It's wonderful to have you, to call you my friend, Marvin. Thank you. Luke Greeny wants me to check my phone. All right. Marvin Jameson says, thanks to Sarge Tech, Carey, so helpful. This is a great chat group. We do have an amazing community, and all because of you guys that make this community up. Nick Poverman said he showed the Beeling Mini PC to his boss, and now they're going to buy 20 of them to use with clients who need a PC at home to search for jobs and pay bills. Yeah, why not? Very inexpensive to ship, very inexpensive to buy, and they're very, very capable. All right, let's take a look. $25 from our good friend Luke Greeny. He says, here's a little something on behalf of Paul O'Brien. Thanks for all you do, my friend. Hey, wow, that's a new one. Thanks, guys. Look at how you back each other up. That is awesome. And that was me. Okay. Like, what was that? All right, let's take a look at the Amazon listing page for the Morphine M8S. Thank you to Ben Laird with a £2 contribution, who says hello from Scotland. Thank you to Stan Ristoff with a £1.99 contribution. He says, I'm only here for a few minutes and he'll watch the repeat later. Well, thank you, Stan. Thank you guys for supporting the channel here. All right, let me go over to my window capture. Should be this button. And let's take a look at what Morphine has sent us for review. The Morphine M8S is a 12th generation Intel chip, the N100, which cranks up to 3.4 gigahertz. It's not a mini PC, it's a micro PC. It's even smaller than what we're typically accustomed to. It's got 16 gigs of DDR5, not DDR4. Of course, it's got the standard 512 gig NVMe SSD. That's pretty common in most mini PCs, specifically at this price point. It's got Wi-Fi 6 with an AX201 card. That's Intel. Bluetooth 5.2 and a 2.5 gigabit networking port. And look at the price. $230. There's a $50 coupon. That's going to bring this down to $179.99. Now, this comes with Windows 11 Pro on it. Windows 11 Pro from Microsoft. Windows 11 Pro Microsoft by... Oh, that's not what I want. It's Microsoft's. To buy Windows 11 Pro directly from Microsoft, they want $199.99, and they're not even going to mail you a disk or a flash drive. You're going to download it using your bandwidth and using your own flash drive at your own expense. They are just selling you the license code for $199.99. You're going to get that license code included on this little mini PC for $20 less than the license code cost. And you're getting the case, the power supply, the motherboard, the cooler, the CPU, the RAM, the storage. the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, like for $20 less than just what the Windows 11 license would cost you. That's the times we're living in. It's crazy. This does support triple video output at 4K 60 hertz. And I don't know if the RAM is soldered in. When we're dealing with these really small PCs, we have issues of space on the inside. So things may be soldered down, or if it's got like an M.2, it might be half size M.2, 2242 versus a 2280. So that does limit the upgradability and performance. But I don't know. I'm speculating. I've never seen this computer before. And prior to Morphine sending it to me, I wasn't even aware that it existed. There's so many mini PCs to choose from. It's very easy to have mini PCs still show up to date from manufacturers I've never heard of. Or sometimes manufacturers have just so many models. Minisforms introduced a bunch of new models. I'm just doing my best to keep up. So as you can see, this is all 100% shrink wrapped. I've never opened it. This video is live. It's unscripted, it's unrehearsed. I've been working with computers as a hobby since 1981. I became employed as a computer technician in 1991. So let's see, that's 30, how many years is it? It hurt my brain. 42, 43 years that I have been working with computers, and for 33 of those years, I've been a paid professional. Customers pay me, businesses pay me, and I'm held accountable and responsible to getting the work done quickly, on time, under budget, or on budget at the very least. And so I don't feel like I should need to rehearse. I'm not making a commercial here. I am genuinely interested in the products, and I just want to share my experience with you. Because without you having one of these in your hands, this is about as close as I can think of to get you the experience of what they're like, their physical size, their performance, all of that. So you know right away, just based on the size of this box, we're going to deal with a very small computer here. Yeah, it's very tiny. Let me go back over to the chat room here. And let's see what we got. Here is our mini PC. They've got a little foam protector around it. Wow. Okay, so trying to think how I would explain the size of this. So let me bring it closer to the camera. Okay, so here's the Morphine unit. Here's my Samsung Galaxy phone. Okay. This is my phone. This is not a Plus or an Ultra. This is just your basic everyday Samsung Galaxy S23. And this is the entire mini computer. So I'll do my best to give you guys some reference of size. And if that back, oh, this has dual. Wow, it's even better equipped than it explained. Where should I start? Let's start at the front. We have our power button, which looks like it's got a little power light. Go to this direction. We've got 3 USB 3s. Go to the back. We've got a USB Type-C that's going to support a third video output. We've got 2 Ethernet ports. That's almost unheard of at this price point. You've got our headset jack back here, which could be used for speakers or microphone or a headset. And then finally on this side, we've got our 2 HDMI. Oh no, wait a minute. We've got 2 HDMI and a display port. This is our 3 video outs here. That USB Type-C, I think that's a data port only. Can't tell what that picture is. Not all USB Type-C ports will support video out. And since the So again, without reading documentation, just coming to conclusions based on what we're seeing. Because the page on Amazon says this will support 3 monitors, it's pretty clear to me that that's going to be your 2 HDMI and your display port. Because if the USB Type-C was able to also display, then we'd see 4 monitor options. Since that's not in the listing, I have to assume that's for data only, for fast data transfer. Let's see what else we have in the box. This is our power adapter. Oh, you know what that USB Type-C port is for? That's how it gets power. You know, we're seeing more and more devices using USB Type-C, whether it's, I'm seeing toothbrushes, shavers, laptops, and now even mini PCs using USB Type-C, basically cell phone style power connectors, instead of your barrel jacks or those large power adapters. These smaller PCs also require less power, which makes it more likely that we can power them through USB Type-C. So yes, our power brick right here, that pulls up, and very small, about the size of a cell phone charger. There's some information about it here on the end. 12 volts, 1.2 amps. Oh, that's the input. 3,000 milliamp. And the great thing about this, sometimes, most of the time, when a power adapter on your desktop or your laptop goes out, you've got to buy the specific power adapter from the manufacturer. No choice. But when it's USB Type-C, you just need to make sure that you're getting a power adapter that has enough output voltage and wattage, and you're good to go. You're not tied to the manufacturer. So that's what the USB-C port is for. That is our power. Because now that I'm looking at it, there is no power jack. So that is the power jack. That's pretty cool. All right, let's go back in here. Oh, this is kind of neat. All right, check this out. We've got the ability to change the top of this unit out. They've given us a spare replacement lid. We'll get to that in a second. We've got our VESA mount adapter for hanging this behind your monitor, or you could even screw this to the side of a desk or to the wall if you wanted to get it off the desk. They've given us a HDMI cable, and then we have a small set of instructions, which is basically just setting it up. I can tell by how thin they are. It's basically just, here's how you plug it in kind of instructions. Let me switch over to the close-up camera here. So I'm going to bring the overhead out so I can show you this part of it. So bring this camera out. So, and let me step around, turn power on there. Let's go to the close-up camera. All right, man, I almost nailed that. So what they've given us here in this plastic bag, you know, the only other manufacturer I've seen do something like this was B-Link, and that's a very expensive unit. The fact that you're getting this bonus lid at this price point, that's unheard of. I've never seen a manufacturer offer this except on mini PCs that are upwards of $500, $600. So the fact that they're doing that, this is above and beyond. Now this is purely for aesthetic. It doesn't hold any other value, just if you want to give your mini PC a slightly different look. They really got it in there good. It's like vacuum sealed in there. There it is. So we can switch out the top lid for this lid. Now again, I've not read any instructions and I've not seen any other reviews on this unit. So I'm kind of coming at this blindly, but I'm going to guess that if I grab my iFixit toolkit here, it looks like from the bottom of this that this just pops out. It doesn't look like there's any screws to remove. You can use like a guitar pick, something like that. Oh, look at that. We have access. We have access to our storage. This is our M.2, and I was correct because you have to understand how small this is. The length of a regular M.2 drive wouldn't leave any room for a socket, right? So you have to go smaller there. And I don't know what's underneath this. There is something under here. And then if we take that out, we should find a Wi-Fi card below it. The question is that Wi-Fi card soldered in, or is that Wi-Fi card replaceable? And these small machines, they're usually soldered in, but what they are usually and what this one is may be two very different things. Yeah, it's replaceable. There's our Wi-Fi card right there. Super easy to replace. Just don't understand what this is. I don't know what this piece is. Now I'm kind of curious what's underneath here. There's really nothing else you're going to be able to replace. I'm going to guess that the RAM is probably soldered on, because otherwise we'd likely have access to it right from just removing the lid. Let's see. I want to be very careful if I lift this out that I've got our two Wi-Fi antenna wires there, and I don't want, they're physically connected onto this plastic cover. Very careful with that. Yeah, you can see I'm starting to unplug those cables by doing that. And of course, on the other side of it, if we open this side, this will be the side that the CPU and cooling fan are on. Very easily accessible. It's really nicely designed. As a technician, I really appreciate this. Hey, there's our friend Michael Dane joining us. Hey, Michael Dane. He is the man. Let's see what we got on this side. Oh. Would you look at that? I have no idea what this is. If I had to guess, looks like something that would light up. You see the ribbon cable, and no idea. There's our cooler. It's all copper. Our CPU fan there. And I'm going to have to guess that RAM is soldered on. All right. Well, let's see what it looks like when we power it up. The N100 CPU from Intel may be actually limited to 16 gigs of RAM, negating any potential for upgrade. When you get down into the budget Celeron level CPUs, Intel limits their memory capacity, and that's done on purpose. They purposely limit that. It's not necessarily a technical limitation. It's a limitation that's instituted by the marketing company so that you understand why the other chips, higher model chips, cost more. Even if it means they do this with cars too. They'll have a car that has lower horsepower that sells cheaper than the car with higher horsepower, and come to find out they're the same car. It just has a different programming of the engine computer. So I don't know. There's the lid we had originally. This looks like a pretty nice lid. We'll put this one on. Plastic. Just push it down, locks it right in. How neat is that? All right, let's get this plugged in. Oh, I didn't put those 4 screws back in, did I? Hold on a second. Just realized what I did there. Hopefully I didn't just pull my antennas off. So yeah, let me put these 4 screws back in real quick. I would definitely want to take the Wi-Fi card, disconnect it before I take this plastic insert out to see what's behind it. But I'm pretty sure 16 gigs is the maximum allowable on an N100 CPU. Now, at that price, believe it or not, it's plug and play, ready for you to use. You don't have to do anything to this other than plug it in and start enjoying it. It's already equipped with the drive, the storage, everything's already been tuned. You might have to put some updates on it, but other than that, all the drivers should be in place, Windows should be activated, and you're ready to start using it immediately. All right, so let's go ahead and give it power. I'm going to leave the internet not plugged in because we want to go through our Windows setup. I need a keyboard and a mouse, so we'll grab that. Move the tools out of the way so we have some room here. Let's see. There, that's our extra lid. Keyboard and a mouse I've got right here. So take the dongle. It's a little magnetic dongle that holds it in place for this keyboard and mouse. This wireless dongle communicates with both the keyboard and the mouse at the same time. So otherwise I'd have to use 2 USB ports, right? One for the keyboard, one for the mouse. It's way more convenient just using the one. And then I need HDMI, so we'll plug an HDMI cable into either of the HDMI ports. And then I'm going to, there's the front, I'm going to turn it on. You'll see we've got a blue light. And then we're going to go over to the HDMI input on our capture card here. Oh, that's pretty cool. The computer has a blue light. So that's what that piece was. Remember I said it looked like it was some kind of a light? So we've got a nice accent lighting going all the way around the base. Then, of course, the front lights up in blue. All right, so we're doing our first boot up. See what it looks like. All right, well, you've seen me do this a bunch of times. Let's see if we got to bypass the NRO or not. Let me go full screen over here so I can see it better. This doesn't change your view, it just changes mine. Ah, there's my mouse, okay. English, yes. United States, yes. US keyboard, yes. Secondary language keyboard, no. Okay, so it wants to connect us to a Wi-Fi network, and there's no option to say I don't have a network. So I'll hit Shift and F10 on the keyboard. And then I click on the box and type in OOBE backslash bypass NRO, enter, and then it's going to restart the computer. We're going to go through the setup one more time. Douglas Burchell wants me to check my phone. All right, Douglas, I'll do that while we're waiting here for the startup. Ah, $10 via Zelle. Thank you, Douglas. Very kind of you. Appreciate the support you guys give me and help me to maintain my independence so I'm not here shilling products for a company paying me to tell you what they want me to say. That's what most of the YouTube tech channels you watch are doing. They're making paid commercials for advertisers disguised as product reviews. Just so you know, if a YouTube channel has over 1 million subscribers, almost universally, they are making commercials for companies. That's how they're able to afford to have editors and employees. All right, English. All right, same thing. We go through this one more time. Only this time, when we get to the network portion, should have I don't have internet. Okay. Continue with limited setup. And that's what that bypass NRO does. Then we accept our license agreement, and then finally we can put a local account username, which I'll just use the word user and a blank password. And then it should go ahead and, oh, the telemetry. I like to leave location settings on, but I turn everything else off. Location settings is going to get our date and time set and keep it set as the clock loses time, minutes or seconds, just as a clock does, as well as any sort of daylight saving time change. It'll keep us synchronized with the atomic clock or the internet clock out there in the internet land. And now it's just doing the final setup for our Windows 11. And then we can check out our device manager. We can make sure we are in fact Windows 11 compatible and that we have all of our drivers installed. So we're going to find all that out here very soon. Michael wants to know, Carey, have you ever had a notice from Amazon that limits the amount of returns and refunds you can have and also threaten to cancel your account if it continues? No, I've never seen anything like that. Amazon has always given me my returns without a problem. Sometimes, like I sent a couple of hard drives back and they've had them over a week. And I said, hey, where's my refund? You know, it shows this was delivered a week ago. They're like, if it hasn't been 2 weeks, don't reach out to us. It takes up to 2 weeks. I'm accustomed to my returns often getting refunded the same day. But I think you'd have to really be abusive with returns to get a notice. Like for Amazon to send that to you, they're basically telling you you're costing them more money in shipping than whatever it is you're paying for. For me, I order a lot from Amazon. And so while I might send back $10,000 worth of product, I'm also buying probably $150,000 worth of product. So obviously Amazon doesn't want to lose, you know, they're still profitable. But if you're costing Amazon money because you're buying very inexpensive stuff where the shipping might cost more than the product does, and more than that, you're returning more than you're keeping on a regular basis, I would consider yourself lucky that you get a warning, because a lot of times Amazon, I've been told, will just cut you right off without any notice. So yeah, that's for people who are just abusing the returning. If you are returning more than you're keeping, you can expect any retailer to do that. All right, let's plug it into the network now so we can hit Windows Update. So down here in the bottom right corner, we should see that little globe change to a little computer screen once it synchronizes and initiates with the router. And let me right click on the computer icon here and go to Properties. Oh, I like that they put the My Computer on there. So I like how Morphine has given us the My Computer icon on the desktop. I use my Windows 10 optimizer to do that for me. All right, there's our processor, the N100. It's idling at 800 megahertz, but it does crank up to 3.4. We are Windows 22 H2, Windows 11 Pro. That's the latest version. That's what we want to see. If we go to the Device Manager, we can right-click on the Start menu, go to Device Manager, and we want to see all of our devices are in there, that we don't have any missing drivers. If you're curious who makes the network adapter, they are both Realtek gigabit adapters. They are not 2.5 gig. So apparently I have misinterpreted the Amazon page, because I thought the Amazon page said it had a 2.5 gig connector, but it has two 1 gig connectors. And they're both made by Realtek. The Wi-Fi is made by Intel, the Intel AX201, which also provides your Bluetooth. Under security settings, security devices, we should see a TPM. Yes, Trusted Platform module is there. Furthermore, if I go back over to Properties again over here, right-click Properties, and I'll just type in activation, see if Windows is activated. Comes up as a suggestion, and Windows 11 Pro is activated. So it's all 100% legit. Let's go and check Windows Update, because from the time this was made at the factory, or whenever the image was made, really, to the time it took to ship it, get it on a store shelf, and then from the store shelf to be shipped to eventually wind up at my doorstep, Microsoft may have come out with a lot of updates during that transportation time. And sure enough, we do have a number of updates here, including some driver updates. And while it's grabbing those, I'll check under Advanced Options and look for, let's see, Receive Updates Automatically. Notify me when a restart is needed. Date. And 11 optional updates. Oh no, just one. No, there they are. We have a ton of driver updates. We're going to grab them all. And we'll just grab them all at once. Whenever you buy a new computer, or even if you're building your own computer, your first round of updates should be the longest. And then as long as you keep it automated, should be no big deal to keep it updated, as Microsoft releases updates every single month. Sometimes they release a handful, sometimes they release a truckload. And the more months you miss, the longer it's going to take you to download those updates, and the more vulnerable you are to the bad guys out there on the internet, hoping you don't do your updates. Bad guys, when you see people saying, I turn my updates off, bad guys love you. They love you so much because you make it so easy to steal from you. So be very cautious of listening to people online who advise pausing your updates or not getting them, because that is exactly what a scammer would tell you to do. I guess I can go back to camera 1, because it's going to take a little while to download on my slow internet connection here. And you know what? I can put camera 1 in a corner, can't I? I think I have the technology. Oh. I'll do that, and then I'll just move this window over to the left. There we go. All right. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'll do my best to provide an answer. Always be sure to look at the chat room, because there's a lot more people, a lot smarter than me. People have different areas of expertise than I have. who may offer you a suggestion or a response that might be more applicable than my own. Or sometimes I don't even see your question, but the chat room will almost always see your question and address it. We encourage everybody to join our chat room during our live videos. This is not TV. You want to go watch TV? Go watch TV. That's not what we're doing. We are a community. We're hanging out together. We're not making commercials for companies. We are not trying to twist your arm to sell you something. We are simply friends hanging out together. And if you're the kind of person that goes over to your friend's house and says, hey, you talk too much, I don't think that's going to be a friend of yours very long, and you don't understand what friendship is. So if you'd like to be our friend, we'd expect you to behave like a friend and to hang out with us as friends do. If what you're looking for are paid advertisements and commercials, there's plenty of that to choose from on YouTube. Or if you're just not even looking to interact with anybody, that's what your TV is for. But here on YouTube, we get to interact with each other. And how many other content creators interact on the level that this channel does? And how many other YouTube channels are there where the community is 100% supportive and kind and friendly? I don't think it exists. I think this channel stands alone on the entirety of the World Wide Web as the only community of this size where there are no hassling, no bullies. If somebody makes that attempt, one of our good friends in blue will ban them permanently from the channel. And that's how we keep the community spirit. You know, we don't want somebody to diminish our spirit because they're miserable people. And those miserable people are toxic and contagious. It's very important that we protect ourselves and we protect our friends. And as long as you're not a toxic person, well, we hope you'll join us and be a part of this amazing community. Starshine said they turned off OneDrive. You can uninstall OneDrive. Just go in your settings under apps and just uninstall OneDrive. You could also hit Control-Alt-Delete under your task manager, look under the startup tab, and just uncheck the box to keep it from running at startup. But I just uninstall it because, quite frankly, I don't use it. And if somebody did want to use it later, or if I wanted to use it later, I could just download it for free from Microsoft. So it's not like if you take it off, you can't get it back. It's going to cost you anything. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the thumbs up button. It's pretty common to see YouTube videos that have thousands of views and fewer than 100 or 200 likes. That's the society we live in. People put forth the effort, the expense, and the time to carefully put together a video they think is helpful to complete strangers online. And those strangers will either complain about it when they're getting it for free and they're not entitled to, or they can't be bothered to click their mouse one time on the thumbs up to show a little appreciation back to the content creator. So whether people realize it or not, by you not clicking that thumbs up button to content you actually like, which costs you nothing and takes almost zero effort, you are effectively responsible for the demise of YouTube channels who simply don't think it's worth it anymore. I'm seeing more and more YouTube channels just shutting down. I'm not shutting down. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not that easy to get rid of. But I want you to know, just as customers that are expecting people to get tutored when they're calling support are ruining support for everybody, the people who watch content as though it's television and don't interact with it and, you know, have nothing kind or supportive to say and can't even be bothered to hit the thumbs up button, when that's done in mass, like it's been happening, these content creators are like, you know what? Based on what YouTube is paying me and based on the lack of appreciation the viewers are showing, I'm going to spend my time more selfishly and stop making this stuff. Every YouTube content creator does so voluntarily, and many of them, most of them won't last a year. It's very discouraging to put yourself out there in the public only for people to harass you, complain, and give you nothing but grief, when if you would have just kept to yourself and never made a video publicly, you wouldn't get the harassment and the stress. So when you know that every content creator goes through that, and you enjoy their content, and you want to basically tell them, please make more content. The best way you can do that is just to click the thumbs up button. It's so easy and effortless. If you understood how much time and effort has to go into making a video, the logic kind of flows like this. If I put all this time and all this money into making content, I've got 4,000 people that watched it, and like fewer than 100 people hit the thumbs up, it's not worth it. If I can't even, I'm not getting paid much, but at least I could be appreciated. And if I'm not being appreciated, then I should find something else to do where I am appreciated. And you have that power in your hands. It's free to click the mouse. So it's just an attaboy. It's a pat on the back. That's all it is. It doesn't get me paid anymore, but it certainly shows appreciation. It costs you nothing and encourages me and other content creators that you do that for to continue making more content, to continue putting up with the hassles from the general public that harass them. And I think you'd be surprised just how high up the level of harassment is. Make a YouTube video sometime. Let me know how it works out for you. Mark Gaines with a 10-pound contribution. He says, hello, Carey and chat. Just got in from my birthday meal. Happy birthday to our good friend Mark Gaines out there in Northern Ireland. Sláinte and cheers, Mark. And let me make an adjustment here. Video quality. You always want to check your video quality, guys. Most people don't. And a lot of times if a video doesn't look quite as sharp as it should, it's because your YouTube settings have changed, even though you didn't change it. But if you want the best quality settings possible, and you're not quite sure if you're getting them, hit the little gear icon in the corner of the video and make sure for your resolution that it's set to 1080, assuming your internet connection is broadband enough to support 1080. And you'll see a world of difference in the quality and clarity of my videos. Alan Linda says, Carey, check if my $7.77 Amazon gift card got to you. This is my first attempt at sending an Amazon gift card. All right, well, let's check it out, Alan. Happy to do so. I do have something waiting in my inbox. Alan Lindos has sent you an Amazon gift card of $7.77. Right on. Well, you did it correctly. And I just sent you a little thank you in response there, Alan. So you should get a response from me in your, I think it'll show up in your mail. Right on. You guys rock. Thank you guys so much. Nick Poverman said, I made a YouTube short video calling out all these people who are giving tips to mess around with regedit. I got reamed a new one on YouTube, and I'll never do that again. No good deed goes unpunished. Yeah. Yeah. Be ready. You put yourself out there publicly. It almost doesn't even matter what you say. The fact that you're public makes you a target for attack from what are essentially complete losers who have nothing else better to do than to harass people they don't even know, who they're not giving any money to. This shows you, as a civilization, we as human beings have not evolved as far as we think we have. There are a certain portion of us that have evolved far more than the vast majority. I'm absolutely convinced that we have not all evolved at the same level. I don't believe that all people, if we go back genetically and we go back through our family history, that your family history would trace back thousands of years. Your family history may only trace back a few hundred years. And when you consider the evolution process of the human animal and how long it's been in process, it's not as though all human animals were created at the same time and that we all branch equally from that. It's pretty clear to me we don't. So we still have some people that are more caveman-like than others, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's It's like being angry at a wild animal. It doesn't know any better. So the best we can do is be aware of it. Don't try and fix it, and do your best to protect yourself and avoid those people. They're toxic, and in some cases can be contagious. They got a bad attitude. They're very good at spreading a bad attitude. And so the best thing you can do is protect yourself, block people like that, avoid them as much as possible. The world has over 8 billion people on the planet, and it's a big place, so it's easy to just move away from them. They will eventually do themselves in. If they continue that behavior, it's going to not end well for them eventually. It may take a while, might not take a while. Either way, best advice I can get you, don't try and fix them. Don't try and make it better for them. Avoid them. Save yourself. Steve Chappelle said, I live in a very small town and I'm looking to start a computer repair business. What tips can you give me to help? Just look at my YouTube channel and look under, search CareyHolzman space business. And you'll see a number of videos. I've been making these videos since 2008, and I've talked about tips and tricks in running a business for over 15 years. So absolutely dive into those video library, over 1,500 videos on my channel, and I think you'll find the information you're looking for. The bottom line, though, honestly, is go get some work. Best thing I can tell you is find a computer to fix. Nothing else is worth any time. Don't worry about what tools. Don't worry about what desk. All you should be worried about, if you want to be a computer technician, is getting a job. Whether you want to be self-employed and you want to start knocking on people's doors or doing some advertising, or you want to go on job interviews. And at that point, that will define for you what you're going to need based on the kind of work that you end up finding. But the work will not come to you. It's very unlikely work will just show up at your door. You have to go out there and you have to go get it. Once you've got the work, then you can follow up with questions you have as a result. But you will not be able to anticipate what work, how much work, or what kind of work is available to you in your area at this particular time. Therefore, the only useful advice anybody can tell you is go find something to fix. And then we can help you from that point forward if the answers aren't very clear to you at that point. James Carter with a $5 super chat. Thank you to James Carter for supporting the channel. Tedshu says M8S or M9, the specs are mostly identical. Didn't we do an M9? And wasn't that DDR4? And wasn't that a really long, skinny computer? Whereas this is aren't they entirely, completely, and totally different machines? Or am I confused? Sarge Tech said, that's true, Carey. You have to work to get the work. Yes. Sometimes people, they want to know what's going to break on my car next. The car, first of all, isn't being driven. There's no point in discussing it. Two, you're going to have to drive the car and give us some indication of what makes you think something's going to break. If you're like, well, I don't think anything's going to break. I'm just worried what'll break next. Well, unless you're having a symptom, there's nothing we can do to resolve it. You need a symptom first. So before we can give you any advice on running a business, you have to go and get work. You need a symptom. And there's no secret. I mean, there's no answer to the secret of how to get work. It's getting customers is the toughest part of any business. You could be a wonderful, well-educated, well-respected chef, and you open your own restaurant. And your restaurant is beautiful. And your menu is outstanding, and your prices are incredible value. And yet you're going out of business because nobody knows you exist. So how do I get people to know I exist? Well, that's the question every business struggles with every day. If you don't want to deal with that, then you should go work for somebody else. Alvin Shaver with a $2 super chat. Right on. Thank you, Alvin. Old Man 55 says, yeah, the M9 has DDR4 and only 2 USB ports. Kenneth Hodgson says, he bought a B-Link 5500U for 287 pounds about a month ago, and he's very happy with it. Has anybody bought a mini PC that they weren't happy with? Nick Caffrey said he was teaching English on YouTube for 2 years, and most of his subscribers were from Asia, and they were almost 100% respectful and kind. What has happened to the West? Oh, that's my understanding about like Japan. You know, people are extraordinarily polite. My understanding of Britain and Canada, people are very polite. Now, they may not be polite behind your back, but you know, the courtesy of bowing and things that they do in Japan, and the social courtesy that's given to one another is very much a cultural phenomenon that does not exist here in the United States. Very, very rarely. I've got to tell you, I was at McDonald's the other day, and there was looked like a middle-aged businessman who was in a wheelchair, and clean shaven, hair is perfect, dressed well, and he was there by himself. And I kind of watched him. He went up to the counter, and then I saw he left with a little ice cream that he was eating, and he had like only movement of one of his hands. It seemed like a really nice, you just get a vibe, you know, it seemed like a really nice guy. And I thought, you know, is he here by himself? His wheelchair is electric. Did he drive himself here? Interesting. So while I'm eating, I notice out of the corner of my eye, he wheels his electric chair up to me. And not only does he have limited mobility, apparently he can't speak. So he says something like, rubber, rubber, rubber. And then he's pointing at the door, and he's looking at the door. He looked like he could speak, but apparently he couldn't. And I said, oh, do you want me to get the door for you? So I got up, because he can't really answer me, right? I got up, I walked over to the door, held it open for him. And as he wheeled himself out, he put his fist out like this, gave him a fist bump. I said, you got it, man. And he went to his car. He drove himself to McDonald's. He was able to communicate without using words and had nobody helping him. And you have no idea how much respect I have for that man. Seemed like a really cool guy. Very independent, wasn't letting anybody stop him. Now, when I talk to people on YouTube that sit at home, they're fully bodied, fully able, they have no physical disability, they have no mental disability, but they have a crappy attitude and they're lazy. You have no idea how angry that makes me, that somebody is squandering away their life, because I can promise you that gentleman in that wheelchair, if he could speak and had working legs and, you know, was physically capable, I have no doubt he would not be sitting on a couch all day watching TV and, you know, writing about YouTube videos. He'd be actually getting something done. So it does seem a bit ironic. The world's a bit cruel that way, that a lot of people who are disabled, if they were given an opportunity to be able to be fully bodied again, what they would do if they could. And then you got people that are fully bodied and fully capable who just have a bad attitude, who don't want to get up off the couch. And you think if there was some way these folks could change places, wouldn't the world be a better place? I just got to tell you, I'm so impressed by that. This guy, it's bad enough he's got limited mobility, but the inability to be able to speak has got to be so frustrating, especially for somebody like me. I talk a lot. Imagine if I wasn't able to communicate. and I've got to go to a complete stranger and ask them for help, and I can't explain to them what I want. And yet this guy did it like it was nothing. I understood exactly what he wanted. He very much conveyed the thank you. Why can't more people be like that? That really inspired me. Tons of respect for that man. Wish I knew him better. Maybe I'll run into him again someday. Very impressed. Architect said that was 100% a feel-good story. Look, when I went to McDonald's, I wasn't expecting anybody to talk to me. I don't put on a cape going, who can I help today? I'm just minding my own business. I'm going to go in, get my food, sit down, eat, get back to the studio so I get back to work. That's pretty much my day. I work from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, and maybe I get to watch an hour of TV before I go to bed to try and calm my mind down. Sometimes it won't calm down and I'm up and I can't sleep. I just can't turn my mind off. So imagine my surprise. First of all, that the guy couldn't talk because he looked like, okay, he's in a wheelchair, maybe he's got some physical disability, but to have a vocal disability as well, ooh, that's got to be tough. And then to be there by himself, to have driven himself there by himself. I am impressed. I am very impressed. That's somebody making the most of life right there. Doesn't matter what obstacles life throws at you, you just deal with it. I cannot tell you the respect I have for that man. Charles Eslick said, I'm disabled. I learned to focus on what I can do and not what I can't. Listen, everybody's disabled, all right? Let's be clear. Most people are really good at hiding their disability, whether it's physical or mental. Everybody has a disability. Some people use it as an excuse to feel sorry for themselves. And some people see it as a challenge to overcome or to not let it get in their way. I think it's fair to say that many of us are differently abled versus, the term disabled sort of implies you can't do something, which is true. But on the other hand, there are probably other things you can do that other people who are not disabled can't do. So in that same term, they're disabled in that way, right? So being differently abled it can be a superpower if you want it to be. It's all attitude. It's all it is. Nick Caffrey says that kind of behavior is what I call human. Wouldn't that be nice if the bulk of society, at least here in the US and Europe, from what I understand, would treat each other with the golden rule. But yeah, there's still too many people out there that are just looking to see what they can get for themselves. And our time here for all of us, whether we're jerks or we're kind, our time here is very limited. And when you reach the end of your time here and you look back on it, I hope you won't look back with regret. And I hope you won't look back thinking, I wish I would have done this thing that well I could have, and I procrastinated or I made excuses and now it's too late, and it is what it is. Seize the day. You're here now. Don't let an excuse get in your way. If you want to do something, then do it. As Yoda would say, do or do not. There's no try. Just stop thinking about it. Stop trying to plan it out. Just get off your butt and start doing it. The rest will fall into place. You'll see. Prove me wrong. Stevenson said he's disabled, getting an electric wheelchair. Danny Castro said the brain is responsible for the real disabilities we face. Yeah, I think that's true for most people. So, well, we can't control the behavior of others. We can certainly recognize them when we see them, and we can avoid them. Don't interact with them. Don't try and change them. Don't try and be a social justice warrior. If you see somebody being bullied, that's a different story. If something illegal is happening, call the police. Otherwise, keep your distance, keep to yourself, and make sure the people who are worthy of your attention get your attention. So when you see a nice person, absolutely engage with them in a nice conversation. Feels good. When someone's being a jerk, ignore them, move away from them. Pretend you don't speak English. All right, I guess we're rebooting right now. Zach Bischoff said, much respect, Carey. As a disabled person myself, I love hearing stories like that. When I was in elementary school back in the 1970s, one of the kids had a disability and had limited mobility. And I remember, I think we were playing, I don't know, a football game or something, or tag. It's something simple out in the playground. And, you know, the disabled kid got tagged. And they said, oh, you know, don't tag him. That's not cool. And I said, no, wait a minute. This is the 70s. I said, it's my understanding disabled people don't want us to treat them any differently. If he got tagged, he got tagged. And I swear to you, the disabled kid said to me, who told you that? I don't, if you're going to let me get away with being tagged, then I want, if you're going to give me an advantage, I want that advantage. I did not, here I thought I was, you know, standing up for him. And he's like, hey, how dare you? They're going to offer me something? Of course I'm going to take it. What am I, stupid? It's pretty funny. Hey, there's our good friend Oystein joining us from Norway. He says, here's a late fee from the Norwegian mountains for the last time. Oh, is it the end of your vacation already? He says, thanks for all the knowledge you're sharing with us. And he also sent a gift card. Oystein's such a nice guy. Yes. Oystein sends a $200 Amazon gift card. What a generous person. There are some people in this channel that are so generous. I have to find a way that I can meet up with them and shake their hand. You know, it's so uncommon, and I appreciate it so much. I mean, anybody who gives anything is more than 99% of what most viewers who give nothing. And I appreciate everybody who does that. But when it's over and above like that, holy cow, you guys are just, you have my deepest sense of appreciation for helping me to maintain my independence. All right, I don't know why we're not getting a signal. It should have given us a signal by now. I think I'm gonna, little box is kind of warm here. I'm gonna unplug it. Then we'll plug it back in and restart it. I don't know what that was all about. Let's see if we have any better luck. There we go. Sarge Tech said, I hope Buster is doing well today. Yeah, you and me both. He sent in a $10 super chat on one of the video from, was it yesterday? So obviously I always give a shout out to our good friend Buster. out there in Scotland who will probably be watching this video later. It's a 8 or 9 hour time difference, so it's pretty late at night over there right now. But absolutely, hello to Buster. Andy Kane said he'll fly you over to Ireland in his private jet. Hey, that's great. I'm just waiting on my passport and then let's go. I'm supposed to get my passport sometime this month, but I'm not holding my breath. The US government's been very, very slow on. I guess there's been a big rush on passports. Everybody wants to travel now with the pandemic being mostly over with. A lot of restrictions have been lifted. I mean, I'm not looking forward to getting on an airplane, but there's really no other convenient way to get to Europe or England or the UK. So we've got our Windows updates that are applying right now. There are a lot of them because it's the very first time it's had updates, probably in a couple of months. And then once you do get this updated, then start using it. And as long as you have automatic updates turned on, you shouldn't have to go through this anytime soon ever again. Something didn't go as planned. No need to worry. Undoing changes. Please keep your computer on. I've never seen that message before. Stevenson said he's going to become a channel member soon. Right on. We'll be happy to have you. You're always welcome. And what else am I missing in the chat? Frank Jimmy says, be sure to catch the musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It was spectacular. That sounds horrific. If anything is a musical, I'm not interested, but I am watching all of the new Star Trek series, so. But I'll tell you what, that show called Warrior that's on Cinemax, I can't get enough of that show. Man, that is a very addictive show. All right, let's get back over to Windows Update and let it continue with more updates here. Bear in mind, I have a very slow internet connection, so it's not necessarily the speed of the machine that's taking a long time. I will say some of these updates that I'm downloading today on this machine even take a while on the big streaming computer. Like the big cumulative update can take quite a few minutes to get installed. And since this doesn't have anywhere near the processing power or performance of the streaming computer, it's obviously going to be a little bit slower. But when you're looking at an under $200 price point for something that's, it's temporary to get these updates. Once you get them, you got them. And it's not something you have to sit and stare at. You can leave the computer running overnight, just turn the monitor off and let it do the updates while you sleep. It clearly doesn't need that much time, but it's the most patient thing in the world. It's more than happy to just sit there idling for 8 or 10 hours until you get back up and click the restart now button or whatever. Or you can even tell it to restart automatically after the updates as well during certain hours, like early hours of the morning, whatever you want to set it to. And that way, you're never inconvenienced by updates. Just happen while you're sleeping. Nick Caffrey says, come to Ireland instead. We've got U.S. Customs clearance at Shannon, so it's easy to fly home. I don't know where Shannon is. I'd love to go to Ireland. It's definitely Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. Those are on my bucket list. I do hope to visit there at some point. Pete Tracker says, you think your internet connection's slow. You should see mine here in central Pennsylvania out in the boonies. Ty's Juice says, I have the Morphine M8S computer and that update bug did not happen to me. How are you liking the M8S? How long have you had it? Andy says Shannon is on the west of Ireland. Doesn't help me at all since I don't really know Ireland, but love to visit. I would absolutely love to visit. I know Camera Girl would like to go too. She loves the Irish accents and the Scottish accent. I like the Welsh accents personally. I mean, I like all accents, but something about the Welsh accent tickles my ear. I could listen to somebody speaking in a Welsh accent. They could be reading me the ingredients on a packet of crisps, and I would be mesmerized, paying attention to every word. Don't know why. It's just the way I was made. Are you guys liking the image on the new camera? Wondering if I can make a little more fine adjustments here. Let's take a look at my filters. I wonder. What does this do? I don't know. Did I make the picture worse? Did I make it better? Or is it mostly exactly as it was? Let's see. It does look like the camera got turned a little bit. Just realized that. I can straighten this back out. I guess when I turned it on, I slightly moved. I have to go this way or this way. And a little bit. Should be pretty darn close to being level. Yeah, this is that new Sony camera. Some people have asked, like these little clips that I've got down here holding the cables. Please always remember, anytime you see anything that I'm using on the camera, I don't care if it's Gatorade, if it's a screwdriver, if it's my cutters, my spudging tool, this tablet, this holder, this camera, all of it is listed on my Amazon store page. And the way you get to that, let's see, if we go back over to our HDMI input, we'll just use this computer to demonstrate since we're waiting on this to update anyway. Browser. Now, first of all, in the video notes below my video, there are links for everything that I'm talking about, everything that you see. There are links for it, with few exceptions. In fact, if you see something on the channel that there isn't a link for, let me know and I will correct it. So for example, once I get the browser set up, we go to amazon.com/shop/CareyHolzman. That's going to take you to my, spelling it wrong, amazon.com/shop/CareyHolzman. There I am. And I have some video reviews for Amazon on here, but there are these 3 store pages. One is Deals Now. This is just stuff that's on sale that I put in this storefront. This storefront is just production equipment I want if somebody wants to provide the channel with something. They don't want to submit cash or a gift card, but would rather send me something for the studio that I need. But this is all really expensive stuff usually. And then here, this first store with over 140 items is called Equipment and Tools That I Use. And if we click on that, There are over 140 items, including the new camera we're using today, as well as these little stick-on cable management holders that I'm using, the HDMI DisplayPort adapters that are used on those little mini PCs. There's also the little start button that I use externally, door stop, Wi-Fi cards, solid state drives, surge protectors, DisplayPort to HDMI cables, tablets. Yeah. So always be sure and look here first. The air duster, drive toasters, another power button, the clock I use, the plastic razor blades I use, the bowl adapters I use on the tripod, hold the camera steady for me, the keyboard I use, all the different cables I use, the different cameras I use, the capture cards I use, the flashlights I use. It just keeps going and going and going. So this should be your first go-to if you ever want to know where to get that tool. Probably got it from Amazon. And that's why I appreciate Amazon gift cards so much, is I spend a lot of money at Amazon, pretty much sourcing everything from Amazon. And I feel like something's not working right here. I'm going to reboot this one more time because I feel like it should have gone further than that step. Anyway, so while that's rebooting, let me go back over to camera one again. And then, of course, if you've looked in the video notes and you've checked out the Amazon page and something isn't there, then by all means, you're welcome to leave a message under the video asking. Don't email me. I've let people know that because of the size of the channel, I get just bombarded with spam and people begging for stuff. Would you give me a computer? Would you do this for me? They don't even introduce themselves. I don't even know who they are. So I just delete them. There's no point in talking to them because anything you say to them, they're going to get upset by. There's nothing you can say to them that will not cause them to be upset. The only right answer is to delete their message. So I have a business to run, and I encourage anybody that wants to conduct business with me, reach out to me privately. So if, for example, you're having a problem with something on the channel, you don't like the way I'm doing something, or you take issue of, I don't know, something I'm doing you don't like, please, it is so disrespectful to publicly use my platform to criticize me. Take it up privately with me. But more importantly, if you're looking to conduct business with me, if you're looking to have me build something for you that you want to pay for, an upgrade or a repair that you want to pay for, then please reach out to me in email. Once again, it's nothing to be discussed publicly. Let's handle business privately. And in that way, it certainly takes some of this, I don't want to say stress, but being flooded with messages from people, complete strangers who only think about themselves and who only just want me to give them more, who don't offer to give me anything, never have given me anything, and haven't even so much as told me who they are or where they're from or why they're reaching out. They just want something. It's just static noise, and I'm just deleting those messages and I'm blocking those people. The problem when I block them is what happens if they actually want to conduct business with me now? They cannot communicate with me. Because once somebody has established themselves as being disrespectful to the value of my time, I'm not interested in anything else they have to say. So I could be undermining myself if time goes by and they reach out and they want me to build them a computer. They want to pay to have me fix or upgrade something for them. And now they cannot get through to me anymore. Sort of the boy who cried wolf situation there. And because of the scale of how big this is, it's one thing if it's a small YouTube channel and it's got fewer than 1,000 subscribers, that's a different story. But when you're at this level, the scale of it is it's hard to imagine. But you can certainly help and not add to the problem by simply being courteous. Like I said, issues, take it up with me privately. Business, take it up with me privately. The community is for the community. You understand? Please interact with the community while you're here. That's what that's all about. And when you want to interact with me, if it has something to do with business, always welcome to reach out. And of course, if you're a member of the channel, you can reach out at any time for any reason, because these people are contributing financially, and I want to make sure that I make time for them. They're not just people that are taking, they are people that are giving back. So for anybody that gives back, I'm going to give back over and above for those people versus just the average viewer who takes and takes and takes and then wants more, right? So there's only so many hours in a day, and I've got to divide my time as best I can throughout the day and triage it to the issues that are most important or the people that are most deserving. Everything else gets deleted. So either that or I have to hire somebody to just do nothing but go through my correspondence for me. And I don't make enough money to pay somebody to do that. I guess it's growing pains. It's not something I'm real happy I have to do. But people haven't really left me much choice. And the bigger the channel gets, the worse the problem is getting. So just asking you not to pile on. Contact me. Contact me when it's appropriate to do so. And of course, when we're hanging out and chat, let's hang out and chat. Let's see. Let me go back over to the HDMI input and let me screen over here. Let's go to Windows Update. Already wants to restart. Okay. I'm okay with that. All right, so does anybody have any questions about the Morphine M8S that I can answer for you, or any computer questions at all? We'll do our best to provide an answer. Again, watch the chat room. Many of our community members here are very experienced with solving computer problems and can provide an answer oftentimes faster than I can, and in many cases more accurately. But let us know what your question is below. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping the video up today. I try to keep these videos around 2 hours or less, and we're about 20 minutes away from our 2-hour point. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Old Man 55 says, how is the quality of the NVMe? Well, I mean, essentially, we're dealing with a Celeron processor, right? It's an N100 processor. And so no matter what the NVMe drive has as far as performance goes, you're going to be limited by the CPU. And so if you are interested in high-performing storage or high-performing RAM, you definitely don't want to buy a sub-$200 computer. The 2242 NVMe's, the small ones, they do not run as fast as the larger ones. And as a result, even if it could run faster, the CPU will be limited because it's only an N100 CPU. Intel limits its capabilities versus if you buy, a Core i5, Core i7, Core i9. So if you're concerned about performance, you should not be looking at a model like this. This is ideal for people that are on a very limited budget and they want to have something that's Windows 11 compatible. They want something that's going to take up very little room. They can use it as a home theater PC. They can use it for everyday usage. It is not for gamers and it is not for high demanding users. But we can run Crystal Diskmark on it just out of curiosity, but I wouldn't expect it to be more than 2,000 or 3,000 megabytes per second. And even at that, I would be impressed if it even does that. Is it as good as a SATA SSD? There's no such thing anymore as an NVMe drive that runs at SATA speeds. That's never existed. And a SATA SSD, any modern one, is going to run right around 525 to 560 megabytes per second. That's pretty much across the board. What you're talking about is stuff from many years ago. You couldn't buy that equipment today that performs that poorly. It's not on the market anymore. maybe on eBay or somewhere used, Craigslist, or maybe you're buying from wish.com or AliExpress and they're selling some old stuff. But anything modern, it's probably, if it's NVMe, going to be somewhere around 2000 megabytes per second on this level. And if it's SATA, it's going to be at 550 usually, universally across the board. From this point until I say differently, that's what you can expect on the budget machines. And of course, if you want faster than that, you just need to spend more to get that. But let me switch over to this, and let me go full screen over here. And let's grab the utilities flash drive and plug it into the USB port here. I cannot emphasize enough the limitations of the N100 processor and why it is priced so aggressively low. So if you have expectations where you care about stuff like that, you should not be looking at a budget PC. That's what I'm trying to tell you. These two things don't go together. It's like expecting to get Wagyu beef at McDonald's. You're at the wrong place at the wrong price. But just out of curiosity, just for the sake of wondering, what does it do? We can certainly answer that. It's easy enough to copy over Crystal Disk Mark. And we'll take a look here at our numbers on their included storage drive. Again, I'm going to guess between 2,000 and 3,000. But let's find out. Oystein says Amazon has started offering free shipping to Norway. Oh boy, am I going to try it next time I buy something from them. Yeah, they're supposed to be encouraging same-day delivery by opening up twice as many delivery centers. Okay, I was pretty close on my guess at 2000. We're at 1603. That's about 3 times faster than SATA. A little less, 2.5 times faster than SATA. But again, it's an N100 processor. So, all things being equal, it's par for the course. Any other questions? Doman 2000 said an N100 should be fast enough for many things. Yeah, well, the key word in that is should. Some people are very, very unreasonable, and they want everything in exchange for nothing. And unreasonable people are always going to be victimized and feel as though they're being ripped off. And to those people, you know, I have nothing to say to them. I think the value for what you're getting for the money here, you'd be hard pressed to find a computer of equal or better capability, performance, using modern parts as the Morphine M8S is doing, for less money. I think you'd be hard pressed to find it. You're going to have to spend more if you want more. Extra cost extra. Starshine said McDonald's in Japan did make a Wagyu burger. I am not surprised. Sarge Tech wants us to look in the BIOS. Yeah, I mean, don't expect much. Remember, as a budget machine, these are not designed for end users to customize a BIOS or to overclock. They're very... Yeah, I need to think of an analogy for this because I keep hearing time and time again people who can't seem to differentiate the value of something versus its capabilities. The price is very much going to dictate what you should be expecting. You should already know what this BIOS is going to look like without me having to show it to you. We've certainly seen enough of these PCs at this price point that we're going to probably have a text-based, non-graphical interface with very limited user options on it because it's a limited machine. And it sells at a very bargain price. But just out of curiosity to look at it, we certainly can do that. Now that's interesting. Notice our write speed is less than half of our read speed. I can't help but wonder if that might be related to heat. Typically, when we see the write numbers are usually going to be slower than the read numbers, but not by half. That's pretty unusual. But what can happen if the drive heats up and it starts to throttle, especially doing a heavy workload like what we're doing here with Crystal Disk Mark, then while it's hot, Crystal Dismark really, in my opinion, needs to do the right test after about 90 seconds. It needs to let the drive cool off. So once this test is complete, I'll just do the right test only after. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll go into the BIOS, and while we're in the BIOS, that'll give the drive time to cool down. Then I'll bring Crystal Dismark up and do the right test only and see if those numbers are bigger. If the numbers are bigger, that means it was slowing down due to heat. Shane Perkins said it's a kid's tablet without a touchscreen. Well, that's your opinion. I know plenty of adults that would be blown away by this little computer. I know plenty of people in the real world. This little computer is way faster and way newer than the old piece of junk they're running and relying on for their email communications. But to each their own. I completely disagree. A tablet would have a battery. A tablet would be wireless. A tablet would likely have built-in speakers and even a camera. I don't see how you could compare this to a tablet at all, personally. Oh, it's going to sleep. I should really change that. It's bugging me. Go over here to my settings. Edit power plan. I want to make sure the monitor doesn't turn off for a couple hours here, 3 hours. Make sure that the computer never goes to sleep, because once again, there's no batteries. No reason for the computer to go to sleep. No benefit to that. All right, so those are our numbers on Crystal Dismark. Now I'm just kind of curious if I change the profile just to the right test. I don't know that I've let it cool down enough. I'm impatient. Let's see if we get a bigger number. I would expect a number over 1,000 on the writes. Yeah, so it was heat related for sure. Yeah, the writes are almost similar to the reads in performance, but when we work the drive that hard and it gets hot like that, its performance will be degraded while it's heating up. So this is not for heavy I/O usage anyway. You would be unlikely to ever encounter this in real life unless you're using the machine in a way it's not designed to be used, or you're running benchmarks on it, which again isn't using a computer. Benchmarks are like pretending to use a computer. Now let's go into the BIOS. Let's go see what that looks like. We'll go over here to the settings, and then we'll go over to Windows Update, Advanced Options, Recovery, Advanced, there, Restart Now. And then this will bring up a menu to restart the computer into the BIOS instead of trying to figure out which key I have to press and making sure to press it at the right time, which is a hassle. Sarge Tech says Wi-Fi 6, 2.5 gig Ethernet ports. No, the Ethernet ports are 1 gig each. They are not 2.5 gig. NVMe SSD, triple monitors, nothing to sneeze at. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, but they are 1 gig Ethernet ports. Okay, so when this restarts, it should give us a menu here. And you get that extra lid. Just a little bonus something they throw in there, right? If you want to change your lid out. Sarge Tech said, oops, my bad. Thanks, Uncle Carey. Yeah, I initially thought that's what the Amazon page said. I thought it said it had 2.5 gigs, so it's not your fault. That's what I said. Let's see, troubleshoot, use a device. Let's go troubleshoot. Advanced options. UEFI firmware settings. Now when we restart, it should automatically take us right into the BIOS. And as I predicted, it's just a basic text-based BIOS here. You're not really going to have any options in here to change. Everything's going to be pretty well locked down. You power. It does look like you can change your PL1 and PL2, although what difference they'll actually make, I wouldn't do it if I were you, because it probably won't do much anyway, and it probably will cause more issues than give you benefits. But there are PL1 and PL2 settings in there. Just don't think you're going to be able to do much with them. Everything else, yeah, you would just leave all that. And then going over to chipset, we've got Wake on LAN. Of course, all our ports, SATA configuration. Weird that it shows SATA when we don't have any SATA on here. Interesting. And then USB config. Security, of course, the standard settings there. Boot options, we do have fast boot enabled. I left my flash drive installed. That's why you're seeing that option there. LED color, oh, change it to red. We can change it to green. We can change it to violet. Let's leave it as violet. It's not changed yet. I think I have to save and exit. And then restore defaults, et cetera, et cetera. Save changes and reset. And the light went off. Back over to camera 1 here. Yeah, now the light is purple. See that? Our light still stays blue, but that affects the color. I'm glad I went in the BIOS. I had no idea you could change the color. That's ridiculous and unnecessary, but it is cool. So it wasn't a complete waste of time like I thought it was going to be. I'm surprised in a good way. So that's pretty neat if you care. I think the option to turn it off altogether too is there too if it bothers you. And then we go back over to Windows Update. See if it still needs any updates. And then I will verify, this is plugged into a 2.5 gig networking port. So let's see what it says our speed is on our connection here. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a gigabit because we are plugged into that TP-Link Wi-Fi router that's all 2.5 gig ports on it. So yeah, they're both 1 gig Ethernet Realtek. Yep. So why this sits there and says downloading and it doesn't seem like it's moving. Complete updates to maintain. All right, and we'll go back over to camera 1 because this is a formality. I'm not too worried about it. It probably needs to sit a few minutes to figure out whatever it's figuring out. And for that matter, we could just start using the computer and it'll grab that update in the background now on its own. So we don't have to sit here and watch it. I'll address any final questions and then we will wrap it up for today. SargeTech said, the only thing I really mess with is the boot order. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but okay, to each their own. Okay, any other questions? Specifically, do you have questions about the Morphine M8S? Anything that I can address for you while we're live? Of course, if you're watching the video after it airs live, as a reminder, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time on Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. If you are watching this video after that, after say 4 p.m. Pacific time, and it's not August 3rd anymore, it's another way you can tell that you're watching a replay of a live video. It would be nice if YouTube would put something up in the corner, but you have to look at the bottom below the video. It'll say when it aired. So it's kind of subtle. And a lot of simpletons out there can't tell the difference between a premiere and a live video, or a replay from a live video, or the fact that they can't even find my videos because unless they're under the video section, they think I haven't put any videos out lately. So because there's so many simpletons who don't understand how this works, I have to republish my previously live videos as premieres. If you ever see a video premiering on my channel, it is a replay of a video you probably already saw. But if you want to come in and hang out in the chat room, it's a good time to hang out where you're not worried about missing any content while the content is re-airing. Also, it gives new viewers an opportunity to find the channel because they're not finding it under the live section because YouTube has made this so complicated. As a result, because of YouTube's policies, which are very anti-viewer and very anti-content creator, I'm forced to have to republish previous content. But it does give you an opportunity to perhaps see content you've missed. How would you know you missed it if you never saw it? And again, it gives opportunity for new viewers to find our channel and for our community to grow. Some people get offended by it. Some people go, oh, this says it's live and it's not live. It absolutely was live. There's no lie about that. But what it's saying is it's a premiere. And people they don't seem to know the difference. They see the chat room, they think they're watching a live video, even though the video clearly says premiere on it. I don't know what else to do. Everything else is on YouTube. You guys can complain to YouTube about it, but not my system. And my live videos used to appear in the main video section automatically. They used to integrate them together. Now they're separated out. And so your average sort of simpleton YouTube user has no idea of all the content that they're missing of mine, unless I spoon feed it to them that way. So please don't get mad at me for the repeats and the reruns. I don't really have a choice until or unless YouTube changes that policy. Taizju wants to know what's my opinion on fan noise on the M8S. I haven't heard the fan on it. It's been 100% silent. There's been no fan noise at all. Of course, I do have an air conditioner running, but yeah, I mean, zero. There's definitely a fan running in it. If you get close enough to it, you can hear it, but it's whisper quiet. One of the benefits of having a lower power usage processor that's not a speed demon is it doesn't consume as much power because it's not as powerful of a processor. Just like a faster car eats up more gas mileage. You know, your Toyota Prius is going to give you good gas mileage, but it's not a high-performing car. A high-performing fuel-based car is going to give you really, really bad fuel mileage. Ferraris aren't known for giving you very good gas mileage. This is like a Prius in that sense, that it's a lower power CPU, which is why we can run it off USB-C power here. It also means it won't get as hot, so therefore it doesn't require expensive, aggressive cooling that can also be loud. So in general, when you're looking at these lower priced budget machines, they generally don't have loud fans, generally, because they're not generating enough performance, pulling enough power to create that much heat that has to be staved off by a faster, louder fan. There are exceptions, but that's generally what's accepted. And of course, everybody's hearing is different too. Some people, the fan could be really noisy and intolerable to you, but the person standing right next to you could say, "What are you talking about?" So at the end of the day, when it comes to that sort of thing, the only way you're going to know is to actually get one and see how it works in your environment. You might have an environment that's got a lot of carpet and furniture that absorbs sound, or you might have it in a big empty room where it's going to echo. You might have sensitive hearing, or you might be half deaf. So answering this, how loud is it, it's like asking me how good does that food taste? It's very difficult. I can tell you though, for me in this environment, I don't hear it at all. But when I do bring it up to my ear, I can hear the fan is running. It's that quiet. I have to bring it about 6 inches away before I hear it. I'm just kind of curious where we're at on that Windows update progressed at all. Oh, it's installing. So you just had to be patient. Some of these Windows updates, it's, again, even on a high-end computer, they can take a while. So once they're done, they're done. You know what I mean? Until the next set of updates comes out next month. Overall, I like this little MOREFINE computer. I think it's a great value, especially if you take advantage of the deal that's happening at Amazon right now. I don't know how long that deal is going to be good for, but you've got a fully Windows 11 Pro compatible computer under warranty. If you buy from Amazon, you have 30 days to return it for free. No questions asked. You don't even need a reason. And depending on what your needs are, why spend more if you don't have to? Why get something physically larger if you don't have to? Johnny wants to know, is it getting warm or hot? It is getting warm. The lid of this is probably somewhere in the 90-degree range. It's hotter than room temperature, but it's not too hot to touch, but it's hot enough to know it's on. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely gets warm, but it doesn't get, I wouldn't call it hot, but it's definitely warm. Sarge Tech said, plus it has a touch of RGB. Sure, if that adds value to you, then so be it. Stevenson says, Carey, can you please turn me blue so I can be in members only chat? There's no such thing as members only chat. You have to pay for membership to be in members only videos. Moderators do not get access. That's a misunderstanding you have on the system. So if you pay the $9.99 a month, then you become a member and you can participate in the members only. I cannot let anybody in there. YouTube doesn't give me that ability. I don't collect the money. YouTube does. I don't turn the memberships on or off. YouTube handles all of that. So the only way you can join in on members only is to become a member. My hands are tied. Sue Cool 98 Lawrence said, you mentioned in previous shows you would turn a mini PC off when it's not used. Do you still feel the same? Absolutely, because these are very small boxes. They don't have the best airflow. So for me personally, if I was done with it for the day, I'd go ahead and shut it off. Same with a laptop and a tablet. I wouldn't let my tablet run all the time either. They run well for a number of hours, but they're not designed to be running 24/7. Now, that's not to say you can't do it. I would advise against it because of the restricted airflow. You could potentially leave this on 24/7 if you wanted to. Me personally, I turn mine off. I turn my laptop off. Unless I need my laptop to, if it's rendering a video that's going to take 4 or 5 hours, I might just set the screen to turn off after a few minutes, and then I go to bed and it'll wait for me in the morning. That's fine. But to go day after day after day after day on a laptop or a tablet or something really, really small with limited airflow, even a connected external drive, you leave it plugged in all the time, you're probably going to kill that drive prematurely from heat. Plug it in when you need it. Not only that, it's vulnerable to any viruses your computer gets or ransomware by leaving it plugged in. So if I were you, if you're going to leave your drive plugged in all the time, it's another good reason to Either shut the machine off when you're done, or at the very least, unplug the external drive until you need it. Keep the excess heat, wear and tear, and of course the expense of running it. So these also boot up so fast. It's not like it's any big deal to power it back up when you're ready. If I was using it throughout the day, maybe I'm going to go to the store and go buy some groceries. Maybe I'm going to be gone for an hour or two. But when I come back, I still plan on using it. I would leave it on. But if I'm done with it for the rest of today, and especially on a Friday over a weekend where perhaps this is at an office, I would shut it completely down. But there's no right or wrong answer there. At the end of the day, you can decide what works best for you. And let me just check one more time on how we're doing here on date. Did that finally finish? It's still installing? Yeah, that's a big update. Thank you to Justin at Morphine for sending the unit. If any of you guys buy these, any mini PCs, if you decide to give it a shot, let us know in the comments what your experience was like. As I mentioned, your regular person perspective may be more relatable to the average viewer than some reviewer like me, right? I'm running a business. I've got to keep myself in business. I've got to answer to my customers. And I'm running a business on a scale far greater than any home user will ever experience in their lifetime. I'm dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of computers in a year's time. The amount of computers that go through my office or go through my hands, whether I'm looking at them remotely or doing it on, it's not just what you see on camera. That makes up fewer than probably 25% of the computers I work on. So everything for me happens on a big, big, big scale. And there's a lot that has to come and go. I don't necessarily just have one machine like this Morphine that I would just be using every day and living with every day. I do have a couple, but I'm not looking to replace them. So as nice as this computer is, it doesn't solve any particular issue I have where I could benefit from using it. But that doesn't mean it has no value to you guys. And I have more mini PCs to review, and I'm more interested in seeing what other alternatives are out there at different price points and different features and ability than just locking in on one and then never moving again or not moving for a very long time. So in my world, everything moves very, very quickly. When you have to live with it every day and it's your hard money that you spent, I love to hear what your experience is. And we'd love it if you'd share it with our community, just leaving it, your thoughts in the comments below, good or bad. You know, I think that's very beneficial for the rest of the community. Randy Roblowski says his M9 Morphine runs fast enough for what I use it for. Well, that's the bottom line, right? It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. If it's what you like, if it's your budget, it fits your needs, it has nothing to do with anybody else. What anybody else thinks has no impact on your reality. But, you know, sharing your perspective may be beneficial for other viewers who find you more relatable than me, and it may help them make a decision. But at the end of the day, if you're somebody on the fence about it, you gotta buy it and you just gotta experience it. There's really no way anybody can explain to you what it's like to live with. Most people are just completely blown away by how small they are in reality when it's actually in their hands. It's different than what you're seeing on camera. When you plug them in and you use them, they often perform far better than people think they're going to. I can't predict that that's 100% universal, but overall, that's the majority of people, how they react. Are you one of those people? Well, there's only one way to know. You're going to have to take the plunge and find out. And when you do, it would be great if you shared what your perception was. You know, was it something you'd wish you'd done earlier? Is it something you regret doing, and why? We'd love to hear from you. That's what this community is all about. Again, you know, as Douglas Burchell in the chat room says, it's $170. I had to spend $60 to put gas in the tank of my car last night. So it's incredible that you can get a fully functioning computer with Windows 11 Pro, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig of NVMe storage, a power supply, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, headphone jack, USB ports. You can power up to 3 monitors for under $200, well under $200. Living in good times. Thank you again to everybody who's contributed to today's video, during today's video. Let me shout out a thank you one more time to these generous individuals. Again, a thank you, big thank you to our good friend Oystein out there in Norway. Thank you to Alan Lindas for the Amazon gift card and Douglas Burchell for the Zelle, as well as Luke Greenia for the PayPal contribution. I finally got all 6 of the giveaway computers finally went out. I shipped 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, and 2 on Wednesday. And then hopefully we'll be doing another giveaway here in the next couple of weeks. I think we still have about 25 more to go. And a thank you to everybody who contributed during today's the super chats during today's video. So thank you to Oystein with a $100 or 100 Norwegian kroner contribution. Alvin Shaver and James Carter, thank you for your super chat contributions. Thank you as well to Mark Gaines, and again, happy birthday to our good friend Mark Gaines out there in Northern Ireland. Thank you to Michael Dane for becoming a supporter, a member here. Stan Aristoff, thank you for your contribution earlier, and Ben Laird, also in Scotland there. That very generous $100 super chat from Marvin Jameson. Thank you so much, Marvin. He's such a great guy. And Tom Jackson, thank you for your $7.77 contribution. I think I might have missed that one earlier. I apologize if I did. Paul O'Brien, thank you for your continued support. And Sarge Tech, thank you for your continued contributions and support as well. That'll wrap it up for me for today. Again, thanks to the folks at Morphine for sending the unit. All the links for everything we've talked about are all in the video notes below this video, including discounts on Windows and Office keys that are 100% legal and legitimate. You don't have to pay Microsoft $199 unless you want to. If you want to get exactly the same thing, don't let me get in your way. Thanks to the folks at RoboForm who continue to offer 30% off to anybody getting RoboForm for the very first time using our link in the video notes below. And of course, we've got our Amazon shopping link. There's a discount to Malwarebytes and a discount to Acronis have recently been added as well. That'll wrap it up for me for today. As always, I am live every Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. I hope you will join us then. And tomorrow's content be about a brand new Synology NAS. Brand new model came out, DS224. And we're going to do an in-depth deep dive on basically unboxing and setting it up for the very first time. And Synology sent us the unit along with 2 Synology branded hard disks. I mean, I've known Synology's been making their own hard disk drives, but I've never seen them before. So I'm looking forward very much to getting to play with a 2-drive, brand new model NAS, fresh from the factory over at Synology. It's the very first time we're working with Synology. I've done other Synology videos at my own expense. This is the very first time Synology has provided us a unit to review. And I'm hoping, because I love Synology, I'm hoping it's the start of a beautiful relationship. So I hope you'll join us tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific time, as we are live every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the chat room. I hope I see you all tomorrow. Until then, bye for now.